about life planning and balancing for 2021. And as I'm going through this, I'm going to try to address not just life planning and balancing, but also just more general career stuff. I don't really view myself as like an expert on any of these topics per se, but I'm going to give you what has helped me grow in my career, and then also basically just give you any other advice that I have found really helpful in my career that I've gotten from other working professionals, because that's been one of the biggest like tools in my toolkit as an actor, is just having other people give me advice. And I really feel that community is the key to success in this industry. And I see myself as like a nexus from which, advice comes in and I can give advice back out. So that's what I'm hopefully going to try to do today. But by no means am I like an expert. So feel free to take everything I say with a grain of salt. But yeah, as Michael said, I graduated Princeton in 2013. I trained at Groundlings. I'm through advanced in their program, and then kind of got put on hold because of the whole panoramic, as they say on TikTok. I do a lot of commercial work, and I'm pretty active on TikTok and Instagram. You get it. So what I'm going to be talking about today is sort of broken down into 3 parts. First, I'm going to talk about planning, then I'm going to talk about balancing, and then I'm basically, as I said, just going to talk about other advice I've been given or received from industry professionals that I think is worthwhile and might be helpful to some of you guys here. Hopefully it is. So yeah, hopefully that all sounds good. But without further ado, we'll get started jumping into planning. So, okay, so planning. I think this is the hardest thing about being an actor personally. I don't think that it's talent. I don't think that it's creating. I really think that planning and the lack of accountability is like the hardest thing that we have to deal with as actors, because you're your own boss, and no one cares if I get nothing done for my career on any given day. Like my mom might call me next week, but ultimately no one is telling me you need to get X, Y, and Z done. So for me, and this is where I see a lot of the friends of mine who are also actors, who I feel like aren't having as much success as I believe that they could and should. This is kind of where I see them lacking a little bit. It's the accountability and the planning. So for me, what's been helpful is start big and work your way down. And that's where goals come in. So the first thing for me is writing long-term goals, right? So, okay, what are the things that I really want to accomplish over the next year? So, and I actually was just given this advice from my acting teacher. He was like, write down your long-term goals. So for me, one of my long-term goals for 2021 is hopefully I want to be doing more like guest star, co-star roles on TV shows. That's like my long-term goal. So what I would recommend is, okay, let's write down our long-term goal for 2021. And I heard this recently that, people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 2 or 3 decades. Someone on TikTok said that. And I think that if you write these long-term goals, you can cumulatively build a career by thinking, okay, where can I be in a year from now? And then how can that help me build to my 5-year goal or my 10-year goal? Tony Robbins, yes, that is probably right. I just saw it on TikTok. As I said, I'm very on TikTok. So, but thank you. Amazing. Thanks, Helen. So, okay, so once you have your long-term goal, I would say write it down, but then break it down into your short-term goals or your like bite-sized achievements. I'm very like top down. Let's start with the big stuff and then work down to the smaller stuff. So, if my long-term goal is I want to be doing more co-stars, my short-term goal might be I want to work on my reel footage, or I want to get better at, refining how I audition or something like that. Something that I can accomplish in the next 3 to 6 months that can help me accomplish that long-term goal ultimately. Of course, as I've said, we're in a panoramic, and so it's a little bit hard to figure out where we're going to be a year from now. But I think that setting goals and setting intentions that way is really helpful, because it gets you in the mindset of, this is what I want to be doing, this is what I'm going to be doing. So even if we don't feel like we're definitely going to be there in a year, I think it's still helpful. And a piece of advice that I've been given over and over and over and have always found to be true in my career is don't wait, create. I'm sure you guys have heard that before, but I personally have found it to be true time and time again that whenever I create my own opportunities, that's when I get more opportunities. So like probably the first thing that I did that I got some, internet attention from, not in a weird way, but like in a positive way, was this music video I did. And I had initially submitted for the music video, and the casting director got back to me and was like, "Hey, Carolyn, thank you so much for the submission. We're not interested right now, but we'd love to consider you down the road." And I was like, "Oh, okay, no worries. Thank you so much." Thinking like this is just one of the million emails I'm going to send today, as we do. And they ended up emailing me back like 4 or 5 hours later saying, "Hey, Carolyn, we actually went back and took a look at your stuff, and we talked about the direction we see the band going in, and we'd love to use you for this video." And that was like the first thing that I did that, like I said, got some internet attention. So I guess the point of that story is that, one, had I not had that stuff up on my profile in LA Casting that I had made, even though it wasn't like the greatest production value or whatever, had they not had that to see and to look at, I might not have booked that opportunity. And also just like, following up and saying thank you and all of that, which I spent years not doing, and I wish I were more on top of it. So, but I'm sure you guys all already do that. And then the other thing too that I think is, this is just a tangent, but the thing that I think is useful about making your own stuff is it allows us to break out of type. And that's something that I get frustrated by a lot on like the casting websites, is it's just, there's this expectation of nudity, or like you're always playing like, the nasty woman, or like, yeah, I'm trying to find a way not to say bitchy, but like, the bitchy woman, or like slutty girl, or any of those things. And so making my own work has been a way for me to prove that I can work outside of type, and then throw that up on the casting websites and use that to submit. So that's been helpful. In any case, long tangent over, that's long-term goals. So then there's also short-term goals. And these are, again, things that you can accomplish. I would say you could even set a 6-month goal and then set a 3-month and a 1-month goal if you want to be really proactive. I set a lot of monthly goals. So I'm going to get into this more in the next few minutes, but what I basically do each month at the beginning of the month is I write down my goals for that month. Now, sometimes they don't get accomplished and I have to carry them over to the next month. But I think that having things that are like, this month I want to accomplish this thing, can be really helpful. And those are, things that that can help you work towards that long-term goal. So like, based on what my 12-month goal is, I can have 3. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Yeah, I love that. Monthly action plan. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. So like these are the things that I can do in a month that can help me build to my 6-month or 1-year goal. Yeah. And I mean, it can even be something where it's like, I want to accomplish something in the next week too. And long-term are a little more nebulous. Cool. Yeah, I already talked about this. Oh, so this is something that I find hard too. The thing that I think is a major pitfall of setting these short and long-term goals is setting expectations you can meet. I am someone, I'm sure many of you are like this too, where I set an expectation that is often way beyond what I think I can do, And so I was given the advice that you have to send 60 emails to get the right representation. This is Kim Jackson. She's another actor. I forget what TV show she's been on. I took her seminar, and she said you have to send 60 emails to get the right reps. And so, initially there's this pressure of, I have to send 60 emails in one day. And I think just for me, I had to sit back and say, okay, I'm not going to send 60 in a day. That's insane. But I can send 5 emails this week. And what Kim says when you send an email to a potential representation is, she says it should take 20 minutes per email, because you should be looking them up on IMDb Pro. And I'll talk more about this later, but she said, look them up on IMDb Pro, look at their roster. You want to have people who have clients within the 100,000 to 10,000 range on their star meter. And you want to get to know them a little bit, even like if you go to their Instagram or their website or something like that, so that you can personalize the email. Anyway, but she says it should take 20 minutes to do all that. I think that's a little bit of an underestimation for me personally, but I'll go into that more later. So then there's another thing. So we've got our long-term goals and our short-term goals. Also, please write me in the chat if I'm going way too fast or too slow. I like to go quickly, but if I'm moving way too quickly, please let me know. If you're like, what is wrong with you? Slow down. So let's see. Okay, good. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, you guys. Yes, realistic expectations is super hard for me. I really have to divorce myself from my perfectionism and, my comparison culture in my own head, of like, this is what I saw so-and-so do on Instagram. Why isn't my career there? But I've had to divorce myself from that of like, this is my journey. This is where I'm at. So anyway, I feel that energy. So, okay. So another thing that I do is recurring goals. So I've got my long-term, my short-term, my monthly, and my recurring goals, which are things that I want to accomplish every month, every week, or every day. So one recurring goal of mine is I always want to read 2 books every month. And sometimes it's more than that, but I like to at least know that I'm consuming like 2 works worth of stuff per month. And that could even look like I want to make sure I watch 1 new TV show per month, or whatever it is for you, 4 new movies a month. But I think they're just like things that I build into my routine to give myself mental space too. Or like, I want to work out 6 days a week, or I clean 1 room of my apartment once a week. Stuff like that. And so I put those on my to-do list, which I'm about to get into. It's my favorite thing that I do. So what the week to week and day to day looks like for planning for me. Again, this is just what works for me, and I'm going to give you an alternative right after I do this, but this is what works for me. So on Friday, every week, I'm going to sound maybe insane. On Friday, I make a plan for what the next work week is going to look like. So every Friday, I go through my calendar and I write down all the tasks I need to accomplish the next week. And that includes my recurring goals, so stuff I want to do every day and stuff I want to do that week. And I block them out by day. So like Monday, I might have like 15 tasks to do. And they can be small tasks. Like one of my Monday tasks is always like check in with the company I perform with, like just see what's up, do I need to pick up costumes for my Zooms, whatever that might be. But I do that every week. And then at the end of every work day, I plan out what the next day is going to look like. So at the end of Monday, I look at my list for Tuesday and I plan it out according to how much time I think everything's going to take. The reason I do this is because, again, as artists, we don't have like jobs, and so I like to do this because it gives me accountability for my time, and it turns my craft and my artistry into a business. It solidifies that for me as an actual job, like a 9 to 5. This is what I do. This is who I am. This is what I'm working towards. So I find it really helpful. Now, the problem is, of course, being an artist, our careers are so flexible and you might get called to do a shoot like the next day. So you definitely have to be flexible with the to-do list, which I sometimes have a hard time divorcing myself from because, things always happen last minute and nothing goes according to plan, right? The one way to make God laugh, show him your plans. And, I probably should do this. Amy Poehler says, treat your career like a bad boyfriend, which you may have heard before and I love. And I think that's probably true about to-do lists too. Like it's there, it's helpful, but when it gets in your way, you can ignore it. The other thing I will say about this, so Malcolm Gladwell says things expand or contract to fill the time they're given. And boy, oh boy, is that true for me. So what I try to do, for example, if I give myself 20 minutes to send 1 email, you better believe it is going to take me 20 minutes, even though it could have taken 2. So what I try to do is overestimate the things that are on the artistic side and underestimate things that are on the business side. Not by too much, but forcing myself to get it done. So what I mean by that is like, if I have a self-tape to do, I want to make sure that I have, an hour and a half to 2 hours, even if I think it's like, this is just a test, or not just but this is a testimonial self-tape and it's going to take me 2 minutes. versus, okay, I want to send these 3 emails to agencies that could take me 2 hours. I have the 2 hours to give it, but I'm going to try to give it only an hour or 45 minutes to really make sure I get it done. And then the other thing that's helpful for me is to set a firm start and end time. Again, it's really just for me about providing structure to what is a very unstructured life that we live. So like, I know I need an hour of wake up time. I just need that time for me to like check the socials and do whatever. I get my devotional done and my journaling. So I always, I'll start at 8 a.m. and then I'll like end at 5 or 6 or whatever works for you. But I like having that firm outline of like, this is when I'm on and this is when I'm off, because our career is so 24/7, especially with social media. It's just like, you could always be working. Okay. The other thing, the like 2 caveats that I'm going to say too are, in addition to being flexible, is just giving yourself grace. I find very often that I have things that need to be rescheduled or shuffled around, and really all the list is it's there to provide the scaffolding that elevates your art to the structure of a career. But you don't have to keep to it. You can postpone things. You can cross things off the list. I used to feel really guilty about crossing things off my list. Like, I'm not going to send that email or I'm not going to do that. But I'm trying not to now, because sometimes it's just like, it's not the right opportunity, or you can let things go. And I think letting go a little bit of that like death grip on your career is really helpful, because it allows you to actually have more control over your artistry. And I feel like I book more when I do that. So maybe that's helpful. Now, if this sounds totally insane to you, like, why would you do that? Why would you try to plan your life like that? Then here's my alternative proposal for you. So I just did a seminar. I don't know if anyone's on Stage 32. If not, highly recommend. That's a great resource too. It's basically a platform for actors, writers, directors, DPs, anyone in the entertainment industry. And they're constantly offering classes and seminars. And especially if you're a writer, it feels like they have really good access to working professionals who want to read scripts from unknowns. So that's a really helpful resource. In any case, I did a seminar on there, a webinar with Alicia Reiner, who's from Orange is the New Black. She plays Fig. I don't know if anyone on here did that seminar, but she said something that I thought was really helpful, which was, again, if my approach sounds insane, she said, every day do 3 things. 1 thing for the artist, 1 thing for the artist in the business, and 1 thing for the business. So to unpack that a little, 1 thing for the artist. So like, enjoy a piece of art, make a piece of art, listen to some music, paint a painting, do something that's like feeding your artist. Yeah, it's great. She was awesome also. Highly recommend taking a class with her. Then 1 thing for the artist in the business. So taking a class, like a webinar, doing a seminar, but putting yourself in the business, meaning like you're putting yourself in like what the work is that we're doing. And she said that could even be something like learning a monologue, or, working on your auditions or whatever, but do the business of acting. And then she said 1 thing for the business, meaning updating your reel, emailing an agent, or working on your IMDb, stuff that's like, you're not in the act of acting and what our business is, but you're doing it for the business side. So yes, 1 thing for the artist, 1 thing for the artist in the business, 1 thing for the business. Alternative approach. And then I just like this quote from Sondheim. My acting teacher says it all the time, which is, work is what we do for other people. Art is what we do for ourselves. It's a great quote. So yeah, I think that was helpful for me, because it's like, I'm thinking about things outside of myself and then for myself. Okay, moving right along. How are we feeling so far? Good? Woo! Thanks, Allie and Mayo and Helen. Love it. Okay, so we're gonna move on to balancing, which, gosh, I struggle with sometimes, but we're here to help each other. So accountability. And like I said, I think this is one of the hardest things about being an actor, is just that our career is our own, which is very liberating and also terrifying, because on the one hand, we have freedom to do whatever we want. And on the other hand, there's this terrifying void of nothingness into which we are putting art and we are trying to fill. So accountability. I also stole this one from Alicia Rayner, but if you're not accomplishing the tasks that are on your to-do list, she suggests that you find an accountability buddy. And I would agree with this as well. So someone who you can share the details of your day-to-day with, or even like, you know, month to month. And I kind of go back and forth on this, whether I think it should be someone who's in the industry or not. It's, I think, helpful. On the one hand, I think someone outside of the industry can be a little less biased. And sometimes there's not that innate edge of competition. You know what I mean? But on the other hand, they might ask you really stupid questions like, you know, I love my mom deeply, dearly, but she sometimes asks questions that she just like doesn't quite understand how the industry works. You know what I mean? Like, especially earlier in my career, she'd be like, well, why didn't you audition for that film? And it's like, you don't know how hard it is to get that audition. Like, I have to get the audition first. So I kind of go back and forth on whether it should be someone in the industry or outside of the industry, but I think finding community is so helpful. Something like what EcomVids is doing right now, or a theater group, or an acting community, an acting class. There's so many of them on Zoom. And it doesn't have to be where you feel like you're going to end up as an artist, but I think that community can be so helpful for establishing accountability. And I'm sure you guys have heard this a million times before, but helpful in terms of creating art with other people. I've done a lot of creating with other people that I've taken groundlings class with, or, you know, like acting class or whatever. So I just think that's really useful. Oh yeah, I want to see what Melinda said. Totally, being in the industry is most helpful, win-win. Yeah, yeah, cool. No, I like that. Yeah, amazing. Okay, so then on the other side, so we have accountability and like making sure that you're doing the things that you are supposed to be doing. And then I think this is so important. We have to take time to enjoy on the other hand. And this is something that I actually really struggle with. And I want to encourage you all to not be ruled by the to-do list and keep to your firm out time, even if it means like scheduling an hour-long nap for yourself. And, you know, get outside, go for a walk. There's lots of parks where we can socially distance and be free in the sunshine. Safely go for a walk, of course. But yeah, this is something I struggle with. But I think it's important to not, as I said, be ruled by the to-do list and to have that space for your mental space. What is his name? Sir Anthony Sher says, he's a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company. He says that you can't be an actor without being. And I think that that's so true. Like, you have to go live life in order to have the experiences that you use to tell stories. Like, you have to understand people in life to be an actor. So I think that's valuable, and that's why that rest time is important. So yeah, again, the part of the point of the to-do list is to free you from that, like being an actor is a 24/7 job. It's to provide that structure. So it's like, I feel like I can take time off. I have time off. Because yeah, you just can't be an actor if you're not living your life, observing and having lived experiences. I wrote down in my PDF and have now shared with all of you. So the point of planning is just to achieve that balance, you know? Okay, cool. All right, now we're going to go into what is probably, well, hopefully, it's one of my favorite parts of this whole thing, and hopefully going to be the most helpful. Well, hopefully the rest of it was helpful too. Anyway, so this is my section for other advice that I have been given or received by industry professionals that I think is really helpful and worth sharing. So here we go. Let me know if you need me to slow down or repeat something. Just write me in the chat. Okay, the first thing is commercial bookings. So I was just given this advice by an agent at SBV. She says it takes 7 touches to establish your brand. Don't be discouraged. So, or that might have been Alicia Rayner. Anyway, one of the two. But just that, like, when you go into a casting director, it takes 7 times for that brand recognition to be established. And I think that this was applicable from like the marketing world. And I think it was from SBV because she said she came from the marketing world. Anyway, that was a little side tangent for me. But that like in the marketing world, it takes those 7 touches for someone to recognize the brand. And so therefore the same thing with a casting director. And I thought that was helpful. The advice I've been given over and over and over about commercials is to watch them. I've had agents at SBV, CESD, like top commercial agents. They're like, watch commercials, see what style of commercial is happening right now. Also practicing commercials, which EcomVids is immensely helpful with. I mean, they are a commercial office. So we're already crushing it, you guys. Good work. And EcomVids knows what makes a great commercial. So I think that's really helpful as well. Yeah, cannot stress the importance of that. I was also given the advice recently that whenever you're doing a commercial audition, create an entrance and an exit. Now, obviously, it's going to be a little different when we're in person, but for your tape, if there is an entrance and an exit for the character, use that. So, like, I'm walking into frame, I'm picking up the bag of chips, I'm looking at the bag of chips, and then I have my conversation in my head while the voiceover goes, and then I put down the bag of chips and I walk off, and I'm a different person when I walk off. You know, like you can create that arc for the character in the scene. She also recommended, this is this agent at SBV who I did a workshop with, to add a button at the end of the scene. I've heard like different opinions on this from different casting directors. I'm sure you guys have too, where some casting directors say, you know, give us a little something at the end of your tape or whatever. And others are like, no, just stick to what the writer wrote. But her recommendation was to add a little button. And I think if you improvise, what I have done that I think is effective in my tapes lately is that if you add like one or two lines of dialogue like in the character just as like a tag, especially for commercials where it can be like cute and funny and so many commercials want improv nowadays, I think it can be really useful. She also said it's really important to know the brand and dress brand appropriate, meaning if you're going in for like a family friendly brand, don't wear, you know, the crop top that I wore out last night, you know, which I know you guys all know this anyway, but it was a helpful reminder for me. So I thought I would share it. She said that right now commercials want approachable and real. So just like as close to you as you can get, and that it's really important to be directable. So even, which again, I know we all know this, but it was helpful for me, so I'm sharing it. And that like when you go into the audition and if they give you direction, make sure that you take the direction, even if it sounds totally insane and bananas, and highlight the product, which we know because we're all here, we know to highlight the product. But yeah, that if you go in for a commercial and they give you the product to hold, don't like, you know, hide it or hold it down at your side, but like, you know, casually, not in front of your face. But if there's some way that you can use it and reference it, then it's helpful. And then I had never heard this before, but she gave me this advice and I thought it was like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. If you're a woman who has long hair, she said she always has her clients do one take with their hair back, which I had never heard, but totally makes sense. Because I find that I often will go edit my tapes and my hair is kind of like here, and I could see how that would be obstructing the view. So I've been doing my takes with my hair back, and it's, I think, been effective. So yeah, if you have long hair, do one take with your hair back. Okay, commercial bookings, which again, I know we all know a lot about because we're here, which is awesome. So then we have theatrical bookings. It's a whole nother ballpark. Okay, so I'm sure we've, again, all heard this before, but with theatrical bookings, every no is leading you to the right yes. I struggle with that sometimes because I fall in love with the audition and I really want the yes, and it doesn't happen. But every no is leading you to the right yes. I've been given this advice a bunch over the years, but work on your craft every day, even if it's as simple as working on memorization. I've actually seen this woman on Instagram doing this where she just posts something she does every day, and I'm not brave enough to post on Instagram something I'm doing every day. But yeah, like working on memorizing a monologue or a scene or just getting in the routine of doing something for your craft every day, I think is really helpful. In an audition, this is Alicia Rayner again, she gave this advice. She said there are 4 things you should do in an audition, and they are breathe, body, listen, and back. And she said that helps her in auditions. And what she means by that is, so breathing, get in touch with your breath, really focus on being present with your breath. Notice your body, notice what your body is doing. Check in with your body. Is my back hurting? Is my shoulder hurting? My eye is twitching for some reason. I look insane, you know? And then she said, listen and just be listening to what the other person said. And then back, meaning like, I'm back. I'm in the moment. I'm here with you. I'm back. We're back. We're together. And she said that helps her with auditions. So breathe, body, listen, and back. I really like the back one in particular. I think being present is really important, especially right now. My acting teacher says that my acting teacher is Taylor Nichols. He's on the show Pen 15, and he is on Perry Mason on HBO. He's awesome. If you want to take his class, hit me up. I can totally hook you up. He says that acting is about 4 things. He says acting is relaxation, concentration, imagination, and preparation. So relaxation, concentration, imagination, and preparation. He says there's no difference between any of us and Meryl Streep or Viola Davis except that they get there quicker. That's it. I like that. I like to think that I can get there quicker too, eventually. But yeah, so he's always encouraging us. He's like, you don't have an imagination that is any worse than anyone else's. They just get there quicker. I've also heard an audition is always an opportunity. I'm sure you guys have heard this too. An audition is always an opportunity to show them what you can do. It's about leaving a trail of breadcrumbs so that you're memorable. This is great advice, I think. And then the other thing he always says is risk takers get parts within reason. He always gives us that caveat. He's like, take a risk in your audition. Don't climb over the casting table and try to make out with the casting director, but take a risk, make a big choice, show them that you are doing something interesting because, you know, at least it makes you memorable, right? Worst case scenario, at least the casting director is like, they're the person who will go there, who will do it, and they'll hopefully call you in again. He also says for auditions, you know, be prepared for everything. So even something simple like I rehearsed for this audition standing and I go in and there's a chair they're expecting me to use, or I rehearsed this audition talking to a man and I go in and there's a woman I'm talking to, or whomever else. So I think that's helpful. And then he also says, dress in the flavor of the character. So he says his rule of thumb is don't wear anything you would be uncomfortable to wear to Starbucks. Obviously, when we can go to Starbucks in person again. But like, you know, if I'm dressed as stripper, which classic LA casting posting, if I'm dressed as stripper, you know, I'm not gonna dress as a stripper and walk into Starbucks in like my bra and my booty shorts per se. But I could dress in like the flavor of the character. So whip out that crop top I mentioned earlier, you know, and like maybe I pull out a pair of jorts or something, you know, throwback. But yeah, I think that's helpful. Like he advises if you're going in for a doctor audition, you don't have to wear scrubs, you know, but maybe wear like a teal t-shirt, like something that's in the flavor of that character. And then the last piece of advice for theatrical bookings, I struggle with this one sometimes. He always gives us the advice that smaller is better for drama, especially because we're on camera. And I come from a theater background, so that was something that I really struggled with learning on camera. He says smaller is better for drama. Don't play the end in the beginning, something I also struggle with. But let the scene have the arc, play the end in the end, but your character doesn't know about the end in the beginning. And then let the scene breathe. It's kind of the same advice as Elisa Rayner, whose name I'm mumbling because I'm not sure I'm saying it right. I'm getting self-conscious. Okay, now just more general stuff that I think is helpful. And then we'll go into questions if anyone has any. I think this is really helpful. I've been given this advice a lot. Find your causes, find your community, and find the things that inspire you. I think that's just really helpful as a person and as an artist to make you a little more well-rounded. It's really helped me finding like causes that I want to give my time to. It's just helped me feel more free as an artist. For auditions, get yourself ready ahead of time, neutral background, frame it correctly, shoot horizontal, make sure sound and lighting are set up, give yourself room to move like side to side. I'm sure we all know this. Recently was given the advice, if you're on Zoom, do a test meeting before you go into the audition so you can see how it's set up. Because you can, like, again, I'm sure you guys already all know this, but if you start meeting and then you can like see what it looks like and then adjust, and then you can just end the meeting. Oh yeah, you're so welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day. And then the other quick things, be confident, stay connected, and lead with bravery. No rep is better than a bad rep, which I keep getting told. Use IMDb Pro to look up agents and stuff. Their emails are on there. For commercials, people are looking for commercial agents and commercial casting directors. They're looking for your training, improv training. Are you marketable, trustworthy, and do you have a clean vibe? That's what the agent at SPV said. Take it or leave it. But I like it. I've also been given, for getting an agent, there's like 3 pieces of advice that I've been given. Piece number 1, for emails, if you're sending cold emails or referrals, I guess, send them Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday between 2:30 and 5 after lunch. And then send 1 follow-up email. Following day, following week, I don't know, at your discretion. And then this is all from this Kim Jackson seminar I took. She said the 5 major mistakes people make in reaching out to agents or reps are not researching the rep before reaching out. So I think I talked about that a little bit earlier, like go on IMDb Pro, look at their roster, stuff like that. Not personalizing the email, which is hard sometimes because sometimes it'll just be like info@agency I'd like to be part of.com, you know. Waiting for a referral, which a lot of people I feel like I ask, I'm like, what's, you know, what do you feel the best way to get an agent is? They're like, get a referral, but sometimes it's hard or you don't want to ask, or anyway. I too am doing this right now because I just left my commercial agent. Writing way too much in an email, which I definitely have done. And then the last one is stopping after the first 15 emails. She said, do not stop after the first 15 emails. So yeah, not researching the rep, not personalizing the email, waiting for a referral, writing too much, and stopping after the first 15 emails. And that's it. That's all I have. Oh wait, I do have one more thing actually. I forgot. I had a visual aid. Okay, so I don't remember where I got this advice, but someone said, these are the 4 books every actor should read. And I have a visual aid. And they are Audition by Michael Shurtleff. I don't know if anyone's already read this. I somehow ended up with 2 copies in my library. But yeah, Audition by Michael Shurtleff. Have them in a stack. Sanford Meisner's On Acting. I don't know if anyone's read this one. Secret, I haven't read these yet. LOL, I just have them. I haven't read them yet, but they're on my list. 2021, it's gonna be big. An Actor Prepares by Stanislavski. Look at that face. A face only a mother could love. And then Uta Hagen, Respect for Acting is the 4th one. I don't know if you guys know this one already. And then I'm gonna throw in a 5th one for funsies. I forget who it was who recommended this, probably my acting teacher. This one, Audition on Camera by Sharon Bialy. Her name on there? No, Sharon Bialy. It's got a quote from Mamet on the cover, so you know it's legit. I think Bryan Cranston did the foreword. But yes. And that is it. That is actually it. That is actually all I have for you today.
Awesome. Everyone, please give it up for Carolyn Vasko. Amazing. Thank you so much. Before we get to the questions section, I just want to let you guys know if some of you have to go, that's totally fine, but we'll do like a 15-minute question section after. But in case some of you have to leave, I'm going to be, I messaged, oh wait, let me message you guys if you're not a part of our Facebook group, we do a lot of, updates and castings and just we post videos of reels and just the commercials we've done. So if you're not a part of that group page, please, I sent the link. I think you guys got it. I'll approve you to go in there, and yeah, there's so many actors in our roster there, so it's a good place to connect with everyone. And Carolyn, did you want to also give your Instagram so that they could reach you for any further questions if they can't stay?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll put some different ways you can reach me in the chat.
Awesome. Yes. So you could follow her on her TikTok and Instagram. Check her out on TikTok, by the way. She's amazing.
Thank you so much.
All right. So Carolyn did message her so go follow her. And also be sure to follow us at EcomVids Casting on Instagram if you haven't already. We reached 500 followers. Ooh. But yes, now we're gonna go into the question section. So if any of you guys have any questions for Carolyn right now, message in the chat what the question is. Oh, Melinda's already on it. Yeah, message your question and she'd be more than happy to answer them. So yeah, the floor is yours again, Carolyn.
Woo, okay, cool. So yeah, so Melinda, I just saw that you wrote in a question about auditioning and writing your own material. Yeah, so this is something that I deeply believe in, which I kind of talked about and I'm also doing. I think the way to do that is to carve out time for it and to just put that on your to-do list. Like, I'm going to spend an hour writing. My writing partner, who is amazing and very prolific and is in talks with Netflix, no big deal. Not on something that I wrote with him, but it's fine. He says that with writing, you just have to poop it out. I think that that's, it's a little crass, but it is what it is. So my biggest suggestion with that would just be carve out like an hour of time where you're like, this is going to be my time to sit and write, and poop it out. It won't be fun. It might not be pretty, but it'll get done. So that's my suggestion. Oh, he also says that the best time to be creative is in the morning. So it might be worth, if you are looking to do more of that, trying like, okay, every morning from 9 to 9:30, I'm going to free write, or 9 to 10 or something like that. I think it has something to do with like blood flow or whatever, but he's always just saying like the best time to write is first thing in the morning. So hopefully that's helpful. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Okay, starting interview. Oh, okay. So that is an interesting question. So the interesting thing about IMDb, as I have learned, and I'm not like an expert at IMDb, but commercials are hard to put on there. And the thing about IMDb is you can put your own projects on there. Like, I have a couple projects that I've produced that I've made IMDb pages for. IMDb, the user face is not super friendly, or the user interface, I mush those together. I don't think is super friendly or user friendly. But yeah, the other way to do it is just to be on a project that has an IMDb page, and they'll just throw you on there for you, and you don't have to deal with it yourself. But you can put your own projects on there. That's doable. Just not commercials. They don't like commercials, really, it seems like. I don't know. Someone else might know more about that than me. Oh yeah, self-tapes. Right, right, right. Okay, that's a great question too, Helen. Woo. So I personally, for myself, yeah, I definitely get bogged down in the perfectionism of it. And I think the thing for me is to set, like I said, a time limit and also set a limit for the number of takes I'm going to do. If it's a commercial audition, I'll probably give myself more takes because I know the copy is probably going to be shorter. So I'll say, okay, I'm going to actually tape for like, an hour or 30 minutes, and I'm going to give myself 5 takes. Or for a theatrical scene, I'm going to give myself an hour to tape and I'm going to give myself 3 takes. So I'll like use that for prep time and then I'll do the tape. Not to reference him again, but my acting teacher, Taylor, says that the best way to do it is to tape and then wait a couple days and then go look at the tape and then see how you feel and then decide to tape again, which is kind of a pain in the sense that it's like, well, I got to set all my stuff up. But I feel like with the number of self tapes we're all doing right now, it maybe should be easier where you can just, if I'm doing it a bunch of self tapes one day, I'll like do a draft of my self tape and then I'll go back and do it the next day. But that would be my advice. I will say, like, the caveat of that is I don't think being a perfectionist with your self tapes is a bad thing because one of my best friends and former roommate was like also a perfectionist. She would do like 10 takes. She was the worst person to self tape with because you were like, I know this is going to take me an hour out of my day to do. But she's doing a new show for Shonda. So, go figure. So go back and forth. But yeah, I would say just limit the time you have or the number of takes you want to do. Or do it again the next day. Name of the acting class. Oh, okay. So my acting teacher is Taylor Nichols, who I really love. And then Stage 32 is one of the platforms that I'm on that I think is really useful. And yeah, for sure. Go for it, Lynn. At least
Hi, Carolyn. Thank you
Hey.
so much for your guidance and knowledge. This has been crazy informative, so thank you very much. And huge shout out to EcomVids too. Yeah. So I have a question about representation. I'm currently represented by my agent and my manager, but my manager is on the verge. Like, I think I'm gonna fire her pretty soon. Mainly because I have 3 other managers that are interested in me. However, I think I'm at that point where maybe I don't necessarily need a manager right now at this very given moment. And I've talked to my agent about it, and we've been going back and forth about what we want to do with my career because at this very given moment, I'm catching friction. Like something huge is going to happen. I feel like I'm on a huge momentum compared to like where I was a couple of years back. So that's really, really great. And I'm so happy that managers have been reaching out. But what do you think about representation in terms of like needing a manager to manage your career? I don't know if right now I need one, but just what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, first of all, congratulations. I mean, it sounds like you're at such an exciting moment in your career, and I'm so excited for you. I mean, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yay,
so that's really exciting. And I mean, especially that you have reps reaching out to you. Honestly, like I go back and forth on this too, because I know a lot of people are like, agents are more important than managers and all of that.
Right.
I think managers are helpful, but I think that it's really important to have a manager that really cares about you and believes in you. So honestly, if I were in your shoes and like similarly to the bad boyfriend analogy, if you've got these 3 other managers who are like pursuing you and wanting to do good things with you, I don't know, maybe it's time to have a candid conversation with your current manager and just say, I feel like we've maybe reached the end of our relationship. And it is hard because especially if they've, helped you grow your career to the point that you're at. But I wouldn't feel bad, I guess, if I were in your position about moving on to the next thing.
I completely agree. And you're so right. It really is like a dating scene. Like if they're not benefiting you, then it's kind of time to call it quits.
Yeah.
So on to bigger and better things. But okay, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because I've always told people like, it's not a perfect analogy, but like finding the best reps is like dating, right? Because you want to find reps that are like a little bit hotter than you and can get you into like the better rooms, but you also want them to be like a little uglier than you so they'll work for you. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Not a perfect analogy, everyone. It's what I have.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Yeah, no problem. And congrats again. I'm so excited for you. Oh, Stage 32. Yeah. So Stage 32 was recommended to me by a friend like forever ago. But yeah, they're a great platform. They will send you way too many emails. That's the only thing that I will say about them. They are aggressive. They love to email you. But it's nothing bad. It's just like I say that pejoratively, but I don't mean it pejoratively. They're really excited about sending you opportunities for like a directing lab or a producing lab or an acting class or like a writing class or an opportunity to connect with like this particular like producer or director or whatever. They're very connected. And they also, it's like, I have not used them, but the platform has a bunch of social features and like crazy things like that. And I'm like, I don't need more social media. So, but anyway, it's really helpful. And everything's really reasonably priced. Like the seminars are usually $40 and they're constantly running promotions and deals. So yeah. Oh, you should be able to just Google it. Sorry, that's a good question. I think you can Google it. I think. But send me a message if you can't find it and I'll hook you up. Sorry, I'm gonna plug in my computer. Oh, self-submitting to CDs. That's a good question. I don't know. I think if I remember correctly, this came up in chatting with this agent from SBV, and I think she said that some oh no, you know what? It was with a casting director. She said some casting directors will look at it and some will not. So I don't think there's a good answer there from me. I guess I would just say from what I've heard from people, I've never done it, but let me know how it goes. One, because I want to know. And I would also say just keep it short and sweet, probably. Like I would do like headshot, actors access, reel, and just like, and also I forgot to mention this, but I'm always being told if you have something new or exciting happening, send an email then, you know, so it's not just, hey, I'm saying hi, but like, hey, my video got 1 million views, or like, hey, I just signed with new representation, or hey, I'm in this indie film, or hey, I've done 10 commercials with EcomVids and they're amazing, you know, or like whatever it is, but like something exciting that's going on. That'd be my best advice there. But yeah, I don't know. Good question. The time though, I would probably say the same advice that I was given by this lovely woman, Kim Jackson, in terms of agents. I would do that like after lunch, Tuesday through Thursday, 2 to 5, 2:30 to 5. That's probably what I would do. Yeah, no problem. Oh yeah. Yeah, you already know this. Amazing. Let's see. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Hannah, wow, you're doing it all. I love it. I have not heard of Wendy Allen Wright, but that sounds awesome. Improv with Groundlings at Second City, yeah, amazing, crushing it. I love Groundlings, and Second City is awesome. I've done little things with them, but nothing huge. Yeah, okay. If you want, I mean, I can send you the info about Taylor's class. I don't know anything about Wendy's class, but I can send you the info if it would be helpful. Or just like connect you with him via email. The thing I like about Taylor's class is his classes are pretty small, and so you get a lot of personal attention. And Taylor has been a working professional for such a long time, and he's an actor that he has real industry contacts. So he's been pretty consistently bringing in like directors, agents, casting directors to our class, like about every 4 weeks or so. And I really like that because I feel like a lot of classes like that I've taken, they seem legit, but you're not actually making connections. So anyway, but yeah, I don't think you can go wrong. And you have a BFA, so you're going to be amazing. I do not
right.
have a BFA.
All right.
I-
Well, thank you guys. I think that will be our last question for today. Thanks, Carolyn, for answering everyone's questions, by the way. It was very informative. So
You're so welcome.
I'm gonna wrap up this meeting, but before we do,